A successful yuppie arrives at a remote sanatorium where visitors are subjected to strange water treatments.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
The film begins with a businessman working late in the office. Suddenly, he is plagued by chest pain. He drinks water from the cooler, but a heart attack cannot be cured that way. The businessman drops dead in the deserted office. Only his photo on the wall as the best employee of the year stares indifferently at the unfolding tragedy. A train rushes through the picturesque landscapes of the Swiss Alps. It is carrying the main character, a novice financier named Lockhart, on a business trip. The young man pops a piece of nicotine gum and stays glued to his phone, doing business and making money. The trip is interrupted by a flashback. Lockhart is moving into a new office. His superiors value him. When the young man is called upstairs, he is full of optimism. However, the board of directors shows him a strange letter from the CEO, Pembroke, who went to an alpine sanatorium and sent a notice from there stating that he is quitting the business. But the thing is, his signature is crucial for an upcoming deal. Lockhart is sent on a business trip to find the CEO and bring him back to New York. In this way, he will make amends for his financial fraud. Otherwise, he will go to jail. Before leaving, he visits his mother in a nursing home. She gives him a handmade ballerina figurine as a keepsake and says goodbye to her son, confident that he will not return. Along a winding road, Lockhart is driven past a small village at the foot of a mountain, on top of which the sanatorium is visible. The driver tells a legend that there once stood the castle of a baron who was obsessed with the purity of blood. The peasants burned down the estate when he came up with the idea of marrying his own sister. They drive onto the grounds. The young businessman sees elderly people in white clothes relaxing in the fresh air. Lockhart asks to wait, while he himself goes to the reception. Visiting hours are closed for today, and then the yuppie asks to call the administrator. While waiting, the young man tries to call the office, but there is no cell service here. He wanders around the green lawn, where he notices a ventilation window leading to the basement in the wall of an old chapel. Talking with the administrator, the young man notices an old photo of the sanatorium on the site of the burned-down castle. The doctor treats him to the local miraculously effective water, simultaneously popping vitamins from a blue bottle. The administrator suggests dropping by in the evening when Pembroke's treatment is over. The hero has no choice but to return to the car. On the way out, he notices a girl in a blue dress on the fortress wall. On the way back, a literal deer crashes into the car, causing an accident. Lockhart loses consciousness and comes to already in a sanatorium ward. He is greeted by a cast on his leg and Dr. Heinrich Vollmer. The medic reports that he has informed the young man's superiors about the unforeseen circumstances, and he himself will have to spend a few days in the sanatorium. The main thing is to drink plenty of water so that acclimatization goes smoothly. After the conversation, Lockhart, standing by the window, watches as they board up the window at the base of the chapel. Then he drains a glass of water and notices a small spot on the glass, which turns out to be some kind of bug. The young man wanders around the building, watching how the patients, under the supervision of the staff, engage in various water treatments. Soon he himself is invited to the steam baths. In a sauna full of steam, Lockhart, at some point, he gets lost and discovers that the passage behind him has disappeared. He finds himself in a closed room with no exit, but a few moments later he sees a corridor at the end of which a deer flashes by. He goes there and finds Pembroke, the purpose of his visit. The old man refuses to return to the city for the sake of business. He talks about the need to be cleansed, and then remembers the young man's father. They started together before throwing him under the bus. Suddenly, the old man agrees to return home for a few days. Lockhart asks the reception to call a taxi. He waits outside, where he is approached by Mrs. Watkins, a great lover of puzzles. She is studying the history of this place, as well as local legends. The hero sees the girl in the blue dress. Her name is Hannah, and she is a special patient. Lockhart admits that he will be leaving soon, to which she wonders, why leave this place? The beautiful landscapes make the guy think about it. Upon returning, Lockhart cannot find Pembroke in the dining hall, where the patients are with Dr. Vollmer. The doctor admits that he felt unwell after the conversations about work, and he was sent for special treatments. The young man breaks into a shout, but suddenly his nose starts bleeding, and he falls unconscious. Vollmer examines him in the office for Lockhart. At such a young age, special care is already needed. The yuppie agrees to the doctor's offer, but as soon as he leaves, the guy steals Pembroke's medical record. While providing a urine sample, Lockhart notices that in one test tube, besides the liquid, there is something foreign resembling a parasite. Lockhart is immersed in a sensory deprivation tank. He is warned that the lack of stimuli can lead to hallucinations. Floating in the liquid, The hero remembers his childhood, but suddenly notices a multitude of eels. He tries to get the attention of the male nurse, but he is distracted by a female nurse. Trying to surface, Lockhart loses the oxygen hose and starts suffocating in the water, unable to open the lid. When his pulse dropped, his father's death flashed before his eyes. He stopped the car with his son right on the bridge, stepped out onto the road, and jumped over the railing. The orderly revives Lockhart. They inspect the tank. There are no eels inside. In the ward, the hero looks through Pembroke's medical history and notices oddities with his jaws. He is distracted by a strange noise from the bathroom. The handle of the toilet tank twitches on its own. Approaching the toilet, the young man notices workers rolling a cart with a body into the chapel. The next morning, he talks with Mrs. Watkins. She tells him that the villagers did not burn the castle for no reason. The reason was the medical experiments for which the Baron abducted people. Their dried corpses were found on the towers. Lockhart suspects that the Baron was looking for a cure for his wife. The lady is taken away for treatments. The young man examines the door in the tower, but a worker chases him away. Spotting Hannah, the hero goes to her. He asks her to give him a ride on her bicycle to the village, giving her in return the memorable ballerina figurine he received from his mother right before her death. Together, they descend from the mountain. In the village, Lockhart leaves the girl alone in a pub and goes to the veterinarian across the street to consult about Pembroke. The result turns out to be interesting. Despite the abundance of drinking in the sanatorium, tooth loss is associated with dehydration. Also, the animal doctor supplements the legend. The Baron's wife's sister was barren. Every attempt to conceive resulted in a miscarriage of a deformed fetus. At the end of the conversation, the veterinarian cuts open the belly of a deer that drank water from a spring in the mountains. Among its intestines, there are plenty of live eels. In the pub, Lockhart calls the office. It turns out that the doctor did not warn anyone about the accident. The hero wants to talk to Hannah about what is happening in the sanatorium, but a local punk has already set his eyes on her. A fight breaks out, which is interrupted by the appearance of Dr. Vollmer. He takes the fugitives back. In Hannah's room, they almost argue. The girl feels pain in her stomach, but the doctor promises to cure her. Lockhart dreams of a naked Hannah in a bathtub full of live ones. Eels, he wakes up from the nightmare and sees a worker rolling an empty gurney out of the basement. At the mirror, the businessman notices a loose tooth that comes out easily. He goes to the reception to report this. But when the nurse leaves, he sees Pembroke's current location on the appointment list. He is in the transfusion wing. The hero goes there, trying not to catch the eye of the staff. Near the elevator, there is a gurney with a body. The old man lying there suddenly opens his eyes and screams. This helps distract the orderlies from the elevator. And while they examine the screamer, Lockhart sneaks into the cabin and goes down further. He finds several rooms with pressure chambers. In another room, Mrs. Watkins is lying on a gurney. She tells him that she left clues for Lockhart. It also turns out that the Baroness was pregnant, but the mob cut the fetus from her womb and threw it into the lake. However, the infant survived. The guy notices parasites under the woman's skin and recoils in horror, dropping a metal cabinet. Orderlies run to the noise, and he hides from them behind one of the countless doors. Here are many water tanks in which people are floating, including CEO Pembroke. In anger, Lockhart tries to break the glass, but nothing works. He runs up the stairs but bumps into the orderlies and Dr. Vollmer. The medics drag him to the dental office to check what's wrong with his tooth. They put clamps on Lockhart. After that, they drill out his front tooth. Somehow getting out of the chair, the guy climbs into a car that brought another patient and asks to be driven away urgently. They head to a police officer, where Lockhart reports the illegal experiments. But when the representative of the law steps out, the hero sees a branded blue medicine bottle in the cabinet. The policeman returns to the office along with Dr. Vollmer, who calls Lockhart a patient suffering from hallucinations and aggressive behavior. Pembroke appears next, confirming that the young man threatened him. The fact that the old man is alive unsettles Lockhart. He doubts his own sanity and returns to the boarding house. In the morning, he sits in his room at the desk in front of Mrs. Watkins' notes. His attention is drawn to the sound of the twitching toilet tank handle. Taking off the lid, he sees a multitude of eels inside, but a second later they disappear, as if washed down the drain. Lockhart breaks open the toilet to check, but the eels never returned. The hero writes a letter to the board of directors similar to the one Pembroke wrote earlier. Then he undergoes a series of procedures, but at some point, the guy breaks a glass of water and uses a shard to cut his cast. His leg is perfectly fine. It is not broken as the doctor said. It was just a trick. Smashing the lock, he sneaks into the basement with a shovel at the ready. Inside is an underground lake and an ancient laboratory. It stores butchered and alcohol-preserved eels, numerous records, deformed human fetuses, as well as skin peeled from someone's faces. There is also a kind of altar with a portrait of the Baroness, who looks very much like Hannah, only slightly older. Going down further, Lockhart sees a gurney with a body under a sheet. The deceased Mrs. Watkins. A worker is coming from above, and by hiding, the guy witnesses him dumping the corpse into the lake, where eels attack it. A fight breaks out between the worker and the hero. Lockhart smashes his opponent's head with a brick and escapes. A terrified Hannah, not understanding what is happening, goes to the dining hall to Dr. Vollmer. Seeing blood on her dress, he, in turn, rejoices. Lockhart appears and tells him to let her go. The doctor tries to negotiate, but the young man gives a speech to the patients about how they are being deceived and poisoned with some mysterious water here. The elderly people rise from their seats, but not at all to protest. Instead, they grab the insolent youth. Lockhart is taken down to the transfusion wing, where he is placed in a pressure chamber. Vollmer explains that the water in the lake allows the eels to live tens of times longer than their species lives in normal conditions. But it is toxic to humans unless filtered first, and human bodies serve as the filters from which the mysterious blue medicine is extracted. This is precisely what helps the locals live for many years. Later, the doctor tells Hannah that she has become a woman from a girl. She goes to Lockhart, who is sitting on a bench outside, and returns the ballerina, saying that he gave her false hope that she would be able to leave this place. Because the doctor will never let her go, and the young man suddenly stopped understanding why he should leave at all. Because it's so beautiful here. In the evening, dozens of employees of the sanatorium and the village arrange a wedding ceremony for the doctor and Hannah. Vollmer leads the girl to the underground lake, where the laboratory is located. An altar and a bed. Here they are to conceive a child. Hannah refuses, but the man ties her up. In retaliation, the girl hits him in the face, and the skin on his forehead splits open. Lockhart, fiddling with the ballerina in his hands, comes out of his state of delirium and clouded judgment. Putting together the words of the late Mrs. Watkins, he breaks the glass over a 100-year-old photograph in the administrator's office from the time of the boarding house's construction. In it, a man with a bandaged head is holding the hand of a little girl in a light-colored dress. Realizing that the doctor is the Baron who discovered the cure for aging, and Hannah is his daughter, the hero runs into the dungeon, where he spills gasoline. The Baron tries to stop him. He even takes off the leather mask from his face, revealing a green, burnt mess. But Lockhart still starts a fire, and sparks enter the ventilation system, setting the curtains ablaze in the hall where the medical staff is holding a ball in honor of the wedding ceremony. A fight breaks out, and the man almost feeds the young man to the eels. Then the girl appears. With a powerful blow, she thrusts a shovel into her father's disfigured face. Escaping the dungeon, Lockhart and Hannah admire the fire, against the backdrop of which the patients continue dancing, leaving the engulfed building behind. They ride away on the bicycle, but on a turn, they crash into a car. Inside are members of the board of directors. Lockhart ignores their orders. Instead, he gets back on the bike and rides away with the 200-year-old girl, smiling like a madman.